We've got Jason out there wants to talk about trans issues in the Bible. It sounds like. What are your thoughts on this, Jason? What are you feeling here?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I'm sorry I don't know you guys that well. I watch the show
Okay.
a lot, but
Yeah.
yes, the trans issues are all of my religious friends. You know, the whole freedom from religion type thing has been a struggle,
Hmm.
and transitioning is a struggle. Also, it takes
Sure.
time. It's not something you wake up with the next day.
Hmm.
So, and I feel like all of my religious friends are, you know, uncomfortable with it.
Hmm. Which I got to be honest, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've really delved into the Bible, and all of its many variants and prescriptions and so forth. But I don't ever really remember the Bible saying much about trans people. Like I think there's
Cross-dressers
something about a
and
cross-dressers,
homosexuality.
right?
Yeah,
And some
that's covered, but
homosexuality.
I
Yeah.
don't know that trans people were really even the idea of it was, around back in that day. That is a fairly new concept.
So it's I think it's newer in one sense. Hang on just a second, Jason caller. But we I know I need a way to distinguish
to
you two.
specify.
but I think what we have in older civilizations is a slightly different concept, right? Like two-spirit, and like because we have good record of this for thousands of years. It's just the terminology I think that we use today is definitely newer. But yeah, it's even still, even with all of that, like the Bible doesn't really talk about trans people. But because, as the bigots are one to do, they like to lump as many things as they possibly can that they can be hate-filled about. And so if the Bible mentions cross-dressing, if the Bible mentions homosexuality, we'll take that opportunity to just say all queer people are terrible and our God hates them. But I'm sorry, I rambled. That was one criticism I got today, so I'll try to rein it in. But Jason, what are your thoughts?
Well, what's that? One more time.
What are your thoughts? Just where are you thinking about this?
My thoughts are it's just a struggle, and it's really hard to deal with until you kind of deal with your own quote unquote demons. Just dealing with your own stuff and not having to call them demons. Just
right, your own personal issues. We get that.
Yeah, we know you're not talking about actual demons.
Unless you are, and that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that is true.
Like I'm really impressed on like Katie and like Katie Montgomery and like people
amazing.
that can like they've kind of reached a point where they have some validity, and I don't have that yet.
I definitely think that is something as a cis-het white guy, I'm very much on the outside of this, but I can tell you I definitely see there are certain people in the trans community that are more accepted by the people on the outside for whatever reason. And there are other people that are not as accepted. I hear this a lot from some of my bisexual friends as well too, who say that it's hard sometimes to be accepted because, let's say, they're in a heteronormative presenting relationship on the outside, but that doesn't change their sexuality just because a cis woman is dating a cis man at this time. It doesn't mean that they're not queer, right? It doesn't mean that they're not, just because somebody doesn't use the pronouns that you think they should if they're trans, or doesn't wear these clothes or support this thing or whatever. Like we really should just get to a place where we're more comfortable with people and the fact that everybody's a little bit different, and that's okay. And we should just stop being so gatekeepy about who is and is not, a part of that community. If I'm in the boat, if somebody says to me, hey, I'm bi, or hey, I'm queer, or hey, I'm trans, I'm just in the boat that I just accept the person, right? And I guess I understand
I
for
mean,
some people that can be
I don't
difficult.
care either way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to
yeah.
express myself the way I
Right,
feel comfortable with.
right. And it,
And
and
you
it
absolutely should be able, or you should be able to. I know that this world doesn't want us to, and it's amazing when you look at like Katie Montgomery, and if you didn't know that she was trans, if you just came up to her on the street, whatever, you would just say, "Hey, look, there's a woman," and you'll go about the rest of your day. But then when you add on to that aspect of,
No, I think she's
she
awesome. I
starts,
think it's
yeah, absolutely.
inspirational.
Mhm.
And there are lots of other trans people who they're able to get them to that point. Now, whether it's because of all the work, and I don't mean just the physical medical work that they put into it, but just that they were able to just make them they took
Look,
on the
look
lifestyle of their
social.
identity and all that.
Yeah,
Is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And we should
it's
be.
really tough.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I mean, it sounds like if you're in Tennessee, Jason, that's where I am, and I can definitely tell you. Um, yeah, I can see that. I know that it must be tough for you because I know what it's like, being somebody that just even tries to be an ally in this area. There is a lot. There is a lot of hatred. There is a lot of misunderstanding, and honestly, just a lack of wanting to understand, which I think is probably one of the most frustrating things for me. I get that. I get that for some people things are confusing or things are new, but at the same time, an attempt to try and get it, an attempt to try and just at the very least not be a jerk to other people when there's something about them that's
Right.
different to you, like that alone apparently
Negativity
is.
that comes along
Yeah.
with it is like really
Yes.
hard to deal with.
Yes, yes, for sure. And I will say, I know this won't fix everything for you, Jason. I know it won't, but hopefully, this at least helps a little bit. There are those really, really wonderful fan run groups that I was mentioning, and it's not just for Talk Heathen. There are a bunch of other, things like that for the ACA that a bunch of really cool fans and volunteers just spend, an insane amount of time working on every single day, every single week. And it's just a bunch of people that, will get together and just have a space for each other. We don't always have to argue about the big, you
Absolutely.
know, $3 philosophical terms, and we don't have to, yell at each other about your archaeological understanding of blah. We don't need all of that all the time. Sometimes it's just nice to have a space where
Well,
it's like, man, today was tough because this bigot, this, right? And then you vent, and then somebody else vents, and then you guys laugh about something silly. Like somebody, for instance,
it's
who
sad you have to
perpetuated
get
a
used to
hoax
that.
for like 3 years and now has to pay a bunch of money because we caught him lying in court. Just off the top of my head, example. Nobody in particular. But anyway, I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead,
I
please.
get you. Well, I'm just sorry that it has to be that way. Like I
Mm,
really wish people were more accepting
yeah,
and know that Rome wasn't built in a day. Like
yeah.
Well,
some
even
people
there,
nowadays are
Rome
so.
being built in a day, we're talking about some ingrained tribalism.
Mm,
And one of the things that communities like this and other worldwide communities are striving to do is to kind of tear down those barriers, tear down that tribalism that has poisoned us for so very long. And it's amazing,
That's not my
the
job.
people that I've met here and the
My
people
job
that
is
it's it's great that we have this community
yeah.
to break all that apart.
And
it is.
and
That's
and
why I
people
keep
like
calling into you guys because y'all are
good.
awesome and y'all are understanding and you helped me with, the religious part of it. We weren't talking about a religion, but thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And
You are absolutely welcome.
it's people like you, Jason, as well as, of course, some of the amazing people like Katie Montgomery and Student Dr. Ben and Arden, and there are so many wonderful people in this community that refuse to be steamrolled over. They refuse to let other people tell their story and define who they are. And when you stay active, when you keep calling us and telling us what your story is and what you've experienced, that makes it so much better. It makes the fight so much better because we actually get to know your perspective. And I think when there are a lot of people out there that are, because they are so entrenched in this ideology where they've never stepped outside of it, they never looked out and said, oh my gosh, these are just normal people. Getting to hear those everyday normal experiences, I think, matters a lot, because that's what helps us become more understanding and more diverse. So yeah, please just keep hanging out as much as you can and you feel comfortable, and call us back and yell at us once or twice, come in and tell us that we're wrong on the definition of, I don't know, something, I don't know, metaphysics, or I don't know.
Well, to anybody else
Ontology.
like let's do this together.
Absolutely. Well, let's
Thanks for taking my call.
yeah, thank you. And we appreciate you hanging with us. And we'll let you go now. But again, please, call back in and hang out with us. There are some other really great people here as well. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that I value about, these spaces that the ACA has, is it is about trying to reach out to some other people and just being like, hey, everybody else around you maybe think it a little bit differently. I know, again, if our last caller is in Tennessee, same place I am, I can tell you it's tough, and that's for a cishet white guy. And if that's the case, right, I just can't imagine so many other people that are a part of this community. I can't imagine how tough it must be. So it's been, if I can use the term, Jason, if you won't cancel me, it's been a godsend and a miracle. I just
that's all right. It's nice knowing you.
Yeah. It was a good run. I had some fun.
Oh, darn.